Unscripted.
Change happens in the gaming industry no matter what. I think that a lot of people don't realize how quickly things can change, and even though, Sony continues to lead the pack, and they will continue to lead the pack going into next generation, it's quite obvious that things are still going to change, and things might not always be as clear-cut as they are right now, so I think a lot of people are going to have to kind of come to terms with that. Sony is making quite a few bit of announcements leading up to the launch of the PlayStation 5, but everything is still surrounded by change. I mean, just think of it. If you're a PlayStation fan going into next generation, you probably didn't think that you wouldn't be able to play, Bethesda games like the next Doom or obviously Elder Scrolls, or, you probably thought maybe Starfield would come to your platform of choice, and now that's not the case. Again, that's a change that people are going to have to deal with. Now, is that change enough to make you go buy an Xbox? Who knows? I mean, maybe you have a PC, maybe you are fine with playing some games on a phone. Regardless, it's going to be a change, and it's a change that probably PlayStation fans aren't going to like, but if it does sway some people over to buy an Xbox, it's probably a change that Xbox ownership and Xbox leaders will indeed be in favor of. With that being said, obviously there's some things that kind of change for the better as well, and I think that a lot of the stances from these different companies and things like that actually do a lot of changes for the better, and I think that that's something that we're going to see probably almost right away from Sony, as it looks like they already have like a more tremendous offering in terms of exclusive content and what they're going to be offering gamers, and I think that this is going to be something that absolutely could draw people over from the Xbox side or from other platforms if you weren't interested in in what Microsoft was doing. Let's say you're like maybe a little bit disgruntled or whatever, but something did kind of sneak in there, and it's kind of mysterious, so I wanted to cover it. What's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that. It helps out the channel, and it means a lot to me personally. If you wouldn't mind, one of the easiest things you could do to support a small channel like mine is simply like a video. I know that sounds ridiculous, but honestly, it's free for you to do that, and it really means a lot to me if you could do that for me. So I'm very appreciative of everybody out there. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. Shout out to all the old subscribers, new subscribers, and everybody in between. So a lot of people are wondering, hey, when am I going to play day one? A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to get Destruction All-Stars, or hey, I'm going to get, Demon Souls, or I'm going to get Miles Morales, or, there's quite a plethora of games, Sackboy, obviously, of first-party lineup content to get for PlayStation 5 if you're going to be a day one adopter like me. There's even third-party stuff, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duties, all that kind of stuff, games that you could definitely get into. But with that being said, what about somebody that maybe was new or coming into there? What about some of the older games? I know Sony hasn't really taken a big chunk of the market and the time by speaking about older games. They haven't really showcased the advantages of playing older games on the newer console, but obviously that's something that's going to be available, and it's something that's going to actually work pretty well. So now multiple first-party PlayStation 4 titles seem to have received mysterious updates ahead of the PlayStation 5 launch. Multiple PS4 first-party games have received updates ahead of the launch, and it's very curious given that these games haven't been updated in a while. The titles that have actually been confirmed to release these updates include PlayStation VR Worlds, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Everybody Golf VR, Marvel Spider-Man, God of War, and God of War 3 Remastered. Now, the patch notes for these games just make reference to bug fixes, but these updates seem like they're preparing these titles for backwards compatibility. On top of that, all three VR games got this update at the same time, and both God of War games received the update at the same time, which might mean that these games are being updated in groups. On top of that, Ghost of Tsushima will also be updated for PS5, which also might mean that these games make use of the new PS5 UI features, which were revealed the other day. But we don't have any official confirmation on that just yet, so we'll probably have to kind of take everything with a grain of salt. But clearly Sony is getting their games ready for next generation. This is something that I think everybody could really kind of guess at what it is. They're laying the groundwork for the next console release. It's really hard to believe that earlier this year, numerous members of the gaming community theorized over what the design of the PlayStation 5 might look like and the UI and all that kind of stuff, and now we know. And it also appears that Sony's begun to release several software updates to get all their games ready for next generation, whether that includes better frame rates or what have you. They did mention that like the top 100 would be enhanced specifically, which obviously is going to include quite a bit of first-party PlayStation games, but also being able to sort of play some of the other stuff as well would be huge. So in addition to the PS4's latest update, again, because the PS4 itself had quite a few updates, that these are other games are also going to be updating. We could be seeing patches coming for a lot of the other games as well. So obviously with the launch of the PlayStation 5 rapidly approaching, Sony and the respective development teams in charge of each game are attempting to optimize the titles so that they can play effectively on the PS5 and also use like the new UI to a much better advantage for them. The PS5 is backwards compatible with a surprisingly large amount of PlayStation 4 games, but in order for the console to achieve this, changes need to be made to each game in order for it to be properly optimized. So it's nice to see that Sony is very much thinking ahead. They might not be out there shouting from the rooftops like Microsoft, "Hey, we've got backwards compatibility here. Hey, please play our stuff. Buy our console, backwards compatibility over here. Play old games. We got them, old games." They're not doing that because that's really a Microsoft thing. But again, Sony has new games, so they're not really kind of forced to do what Microsoft is doing. So very different strategies and very different approaches as well. Again, I think it's a good checklist thing. Hey, backwards compatibility, cool, but definitely not something that people should, be like, oh my gosh, let me buy that new console to play these old games that they could potentially play a little bit better. But it is nice to see, because I think these games, I'm all for game preservation, by the way. I think game preservation is awesome, and it really does take things to that next level to be able to sort of go in there and save and play all your old games and take them with you. I think that that's something that never should have stopped, to be quite honest with you. I feel like that's something that everybody should be able to do, is take their games with them and stuff. And I know that's like been a PC thing for a long time, but we used to have backwards compatibility. If you think about it, I mean, PS2 was backwards compatibility fully with the PS1. The PS3, at least at start, had backwards compatibility with the PS2 and PS1. And PS4 obviously wasn't able to do that, and they tried to implement the cloud stuff, and people weren't really interested in it. But it really just seems to go with how you're kind of getting into all this stuff. And I do really think that Sony is playing it very smart with how they're sort of going about this, and I do really kind of appreciate that, because I think it's very important kind of going forward and things like that, just to have that option to be able to take your old stuff with you. And I think that that's something that Sony kind of wants to kind of reiterate as well. And Sony also commented on the new voice chat functionality coming to the PlayStation 5, which is basically something that they kind of wanted to reiterate. PlayStation gamers learned about the new function in an unexpected way following a recent PS4 update, and they didn't clearly communicate the feature, explain why we're introducing it, and they apologize for that. When the PS5 console launches in November, PS5 users will be able to chat with PS4 users, which is why we needed to include an advisory with the latest PS4 system update. We should have more clearly explained why this function was being rolled out, along with the details on how it will work on the PS5 console, so they're walking you through it. Once the PS5 console launches, if a PS5 player needs to file a harassment report, they'll be able to include up to a 40-second long video chat clip in the report, 20 seconds of the main conversation with the other player, plus an additional 10 seconds before and after the conversation. Only the most recent 5 minutes of voice chat will be available for player to use for this reporting function. Now, these reports can be submitted directly to the PS5 console and will be sent to our customer service team for moderation, who will then listen to the recording and take action if needed. Some submitted reports won't be valid, and our team will take this as an opportunity to provide guidance and education. There won't be an option to opt out of this voice chat recording function, because we want users to feel safe while playing with others online, not just those who choose to enable it. Thanks for reading, and I'm hoping this gives you a better idea of what their goals are. So basically, when you're in a party chat with other people, like PS4 people or PS5 people, whatever, it records like some of your stuff. So I mean, I don't look at that as being a good thing, and you can't actually opt out of that part of it. So yeah, I don't really look at that as something that's really a good thing, I guess. In an attempt to be, I guess, more inclusive and stuff like that. I mean, I think that it probably should be a safe place for everybody to play online and chat, but I just don't know if having people. I can see this being a bad thing too, like people just trying to like report other people even if they didn't do anything wrong. So hopefully that's something that obviously doesn't doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean. Hopefully this is just something that doesn't really end with a lot of bad nonsense, you know what I mean? Especially if people end up, you know, losing their games or what have you, just because, you know, they're tied to their account and they can have that get in trouble or whatever. So the best advice I can give people is just be good to one another. I think that people often forget that even online, you know, we're all people, and you know, everybody deserves a certain level of respect. And so I hope that people kind of just remember that going forward. I think it's super important. And you know, I really do appreciate everybody for, you know, coming out here and watching the videos. I will of course link this in the description so everyone can check it out. Please hit me up on PSN just at Crapgamer, or you know, Xbox Live MOH space Crapgamer, or Twitter at _Crapgamer. Please take care of one another. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Game on, my friends. Game on. Have a great night. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.